Hola. Juan and Lisette. They didn't know, they're not hearing me. Oh, yeah. Hola. Juan. Lisette. Hello. Okay, we're going to give it just another couple of minutes, see if more people come in. Alex and Athena, hello. Thanks for showing us one of your paintings, Cheryl. Thank you, that was nice. So we're going to start in just a couple of minutes. Tara, do we have a picture of you? Tara? No. Rosemary? There's Rosemary. Tara, are you there? Hi, Trish. Emilia. Hello, Manon. I just love seeing your faces. At some point, maybe we'll all be in the same room together physically. That would be so wonderful. I don't know how we do that, but maybe. Wanting to see, is it Tara? There's Misha. Do some of you know each other? Yeah, some of you know each other. Yeah. Okay then, Tara, okay. All right, so here we are ready to go. So I know I made a big promise that this would be the answer to all your problems. Well, it will be. It's that simple, not necessarily that easy, but we'll see how easy it is. I want to say a few words about clear awareness. And then we'll move to clear awareness practice. And we have until 4:45, so it's a good amount of time. It's good. You know, every system can have a different name for what is, or the all, or the one, or God, or Allah, or the mystery. Actually, I've told some of you this story before, but I'll tell it again because most of you haven't been there when I've told it. In a former Sangha that I was a member of, one of the students was German, and the practice that we did had an invocation at the beginning, where we called upon. It was part of the practice was in a Native American tradition, and we called upon the Great Mystery. We invoked what was referred to in that tradition at that time as the Great Mystery. That's not unusual, but what happened next was a little unusual, but it fits into this little squib that I'm speaking of right now about how there are so many different names for what is, for the holiest of holies and so on. So I asked one of the I asked one of the students to do the invocation that day, and it happened to be the German practitioner, wonderful person. And her English was very fluent, but sometimes she was thinking in German, and you could tell when she was thinking in German because of the way she spoke her English, which is normal when you've got more than one language going. That's not unusual. So she stood up and started the invocation. And instead of calling on the great mystery, she called on the big secret. I thought it was perfect. Because until you experience directly for yourself the great mystery, it truly is the big secret. So I think of that sometimes and feel completely relaxed about however anybody wants to refer to that which is the holy, the true, the ultimate, the absolute, the perfect, whatever, the big secret. So clear awareness is another name for the big secret. Clear awareness is the nature of your mind. Your mind is clear awareness. Clarity, wisdom, we could say, but clear awareness is the way Rinpoche describes it, and for me, that does it. When I read his account in this biography in which he recounted that experience with Khenpo Mensal, it shifted my practice profoundly, just to hear the different words. So clear awareness is the big secret, but it's also the big obvious thing, the little obvious thing, and the medium-sized obvious thing, which is this. When you turn your attention within, when you gaze within your mind, rather than gazing outwardly, which is how we usually are doing things, consciously at least, what you see is your mind. You see what's moving in your mind, thoughts, emotions, whatever. You also are seeing, although maybe not recognizing, the spaces between. Clear awareness. The space in which all of the matter of mind happens is the space of clear awareness. It's the true nature of your mind. It's the true nature of what arises and dissolves in your mind, what comes and goes in your mind. It's the true nature of what recognizes the coming and going in the mind. It's the true nature that recognizes itself in all appearances. We could call it wisdom. Sometimes people call it awareness or ultimate awareness, or yeshe, or might call it rigpa. It's clear awareness. It has no substance. It has no center, no circumference. It's vast and unimpeded and all-pervading. It is stillness and it is dynamic. It's radiant. It's empty. It's full. I read recently that the word shunyata in Sanskrit means both empty and pregnant. That works for me. You can't be pregnant if you aren't empty to begin with, right? Our friend Amelia, in case you can't see her, is having an actual fit of delight in this moment. A fit of delight is a fine thing to have in the middle of spiritual teachings, wouldn't you say? And what recognizes that is clear awareness. So all of this is simple, and yet we are usually looking for or at something when we're looking outwardly or when we're looking inwardly. And the recognition of clear awareness is a recognition rather than a peering or looking directly at in a kind of focused way. you know how you feel, I'm sure you've all had this experience, and I've used this example with people 100,000 times and also with myself. You know how when you're sitting by moving water, and it's not turbulent water, this doesn't apply to floodwaters or tsunamis, things of this nature, but when you're sitting by a lake or by a stream gently flowing, it's very relaxing. It's very relaxing just to sit by a body of water where there's some movement, and you see the little wavelets or the currents of water, and you see them and the water itself, the body of water, and then its expressions in wavelets or movement or currents or rivulets. To sit there for a few hours just gazing, not doing anything with it. Maybe you're fishing. I think this is a lot of the reason people go fishing sometimes, and say, well, I'm going fishing, honey. I'll be back in, whenever I get back, with or without fish. I think it's a form of meditation for some people. And the fish are incidental. Fortunately for them, some of them escape because they're incidental. But so the same experience we experience quite often, and I myself very frequently have experienced by an open fire. When you sit by an open fire and you're seeing the fire, and then you're seeing its activity, its expression, with particular sparks and particular flames, some blue, some red, some yellow, sometimes white. And the mind relaxes, and you have a sense of healing. You have a sense of being really assuaged in those experiences. Am I describing something that you are familiar with? I see that it's familiar for Yvonne. Just give me a yes, and also for Manon and Emilia. Yes. Okay, good. So it's familiar. We know what this experience is. And it's a kind of relaxation that we can't intentionally create in ourselves. It really has to do with how we're gazing and what we're gazing at and what it's doing, what its behavior is, what its expressions are, what its nature is. And the key, I think, I've thought about it a lot. I couldn't really understand why it is that I felt so renewed after these experiences. And I realized as I began to do spiritual practice, what some people call meditation, but I don't use that word very often myself, but contemplation, mind practice, it's because what you're seeing, you're viewing in the non-dual. You're viewing non-duality, and the mind relaxes into non-duality because you're viewing non-duality. It's reflecting your mind. It's non-dual because you're seeing water and wave. They appear different, but they're one, and you're experiencing the one that they are, while recognizing the distinctions of wave and water, yes? But the wave is always relaxing back into the water. And the same with the flame and the fire. You're seeing the fire as a whole, and yet you're also aware of the expressions in different flames and sparks and so on, but they all resolve back into their own nature, which is fire. And what is seeing that? What is seeing that? It's your own mind. Your own mind is seeing that and responds by also relaxing into its own non-dual nature, in which thoughts arise and dissolve just like waves on the water and just like flames in the fire. And that's a training for the mind in seeing clear awareness, because what recognizes is clear awareness. It's not other than the mind. And what we want to cultivate is recognizing clear awareness itself. We want to cultivate the ability to recognize that which sees, which is the true nature of mind. It's seeing itself in all these reflections. And that relaxation that one of our friends commented about when she experienced, I can't remember, I think it was Molly was talking about, she suddenly relaxed in her in her kind of panic, but it was clear awareness. She also perceived her own mind in that moment, and that was why she relaxed. Because when we see the nature of our mind, the body response is an utter relaxation. In fact, one friend of mine described the experience of the first time that she had that direct seeing of clear awareness. She said, I have to tell you what happened, and I was waiting for this beautiful expression, of her describing what her experience was. She said, I almost peed my pants, Barbara. Her body relaxed so much, so completely. I knew exactly what she meant. So you see, we don't have to be pretentious about any of this. This is what we're talking about is the nature of reality. There's nothing that's not that, right? So we can relax right now in how we talk about it and how we listen. Yes, good. Really, somebody once said to me, "Unless you're laughing a lot, you're not on the right path." So I took that very seriously, so to speak. So our practice begins with a recognition of the capacity to gaze within. And initially, it's just a glance. Now, this is something you're actually all familiar with, so I want to tell you the way in which I think many of us are familiar with it, and it's this. If I ask you right now, this very second, when you hear me ring the gong once, it means you're going to turn your attention within, okay? You're just going to glance within. This is not gazing. This is not meditation. This is nothing fancy. This isn't a spiritual practice. I'm going to make a gong once. You're going to look within. You're going to tell me what you see, okay? Nothing fancy. Don't get pretentious. If you get pretentious on me, you flunk. Are you ready? I'm not going to do it when you're ready. I'm going to do it when we're just talking, and then I'm going to gong, and then in that instant you hear the gong, you're going to glance within quickly, yes? And then I'm going to gong twice again, you're going to come back out, and I'm going to ask you, what'd you see? Okay? Maybe I might ask you something else, or I might not ask you anything. You cannot control this. I have the gong. Okay? You ready? La 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 la. Right. But we all, if I ask you at any point, awake or asleep, what's going on in your mind, you're going to glance within. That's how you're going to know. You do it all the time. This is not something new. Right? Neither is your true nature something new. You two have met many times before. You just haven't recognized what you're seeing. All right? Now, are you sufficiently totally uninvested in outcome here? There's no outcome. There's just what is. Are you sufficiently alarmed at the thought you might not see it? Okay, good. Okay, close your eyes for a second. Claire, you too. Okay, now open them. Open your eyes. Nothing happened, right? Glance within. It takes less time than that to see directly the true nature of mind. It's never not there. You're never not able to see it. You see it all the time. What's missing is the recognition. That's all. So the training is to recognize. It's that simple. when we turn the gaze within and glance, when we glance within like that, and then we sort of start looking for something, we've already missed the boat. The boat's all the way down the river by that point. It's literally right in front of us all the time. And because when we're looking outwardly with our physical vision, when we're looking out into, what we call visual reality, we are looking at something normally. That's why these experiences at the fire and by the water are so distinctive. They are the way we normally look, and yet something changes when we're seeing the waves and the water together. We shift a gear internally, gradually, and we become able to perceive the non-dual with our non-dual gaze. It's like a form of training. It's a very good form of training. You can do it simply with a candle at home. You can use a candle to do that. I wouldn't recommend wasting water by letting the water run. But if there's a river near you that has water in it, you can go. It's maybe not the Rio Grande, as we've talked about for some years on the border. The Rio Grande often is empty of any water, so it's not a good place to go to try to do this exercise except at certain times of the year. As things are changing, who knows when it's going to happen that the water comes into the river. So when I gong one time, then I want you to go in with the gaze just very quickly and have no grasping, if you can possibly imagine having no grasping. Just go in quickly with your gaze and then immediately come back out again. I won't do the second gong. I'll ask you to bring yourself back out again. Gaze within and then come out. But in the gazing within, be aware of the body response. Okay? Be aware of what happens with the body and be able to speak to that. Okay? So as we're sort of talking like this, at some point you'll hear the gong, and then that moment, gaze quickly within. And I'm looking at Kathy S. is represented, looks like by Kuan Yin. That's a okay. Open your eyes, please. And does anybody want to say anything about what you experienced in that moment when you glanced quickly within? Manon? I said, okay. Your audio isn't on. You made a motion to your chest, to your heart, is it? Can you help her with that, Billy? It says iPad de Manon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Thank you. Yeah. So
I just felt warm here.
Warmth in the chest, the upper chest. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to report on what you experienced? Oh, yes. Yvon?
A glimpse of, each time, a glimpse of unborn timelessness.
Say that again.
A glimpse of unplugging in with a glimpse of unborn timelessness.
A glimpse of unborn timelessness. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else want to say? Misha?
Yeah.
Just a couple words, no speeches here. Just a couple words.
Yeah, tingling rush of energy down my body, followed by a wave of relaxation.
I need you to say it again. It wasn't clear to what I couldn't understand the words.
Yes, a rush of tingling energy down my body,
Okay.
followed by immediately by physical relaxation.
Okay. Yes, Art?
Nothing in a very peaceful way.
Nothing in a very peaceful way. Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Is Athena?
I couldn't find within or without. It didn't make a difference. It didn't make sense within or without. There wasn't a difference within and without.
Within and without disappeared. They weren't distinguishable anymore. What happened in your body as you experienced that? Do you remember?
Peace. Nothing, just peaceful.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's an instruction from Milarepa that says, let your mind rest within your mind. Remember that. Okay? Good, thank you. Okay, and then Emilia?
Awareness of suffering and fear.
Okay. Yes, that's good. That's fine. Good. And Elisette or Juan? One of you wants to speak? You're not. Your audio is not on.
Both of us want to.
I can't hear.
Both of us want to speak.
Not able to distinguish your words.
Oh.
I couldn't understand your words. Don't come so close. Don't come too close to the mic.
Okay. Both of us want to share our experience.
Okay. Good.
So Lisette first. Ladies first.
All right.
I just felt the tension in my mouth and I let go.
Okay.
I felt a vibration in my whole body, and then I just started feeling my heartbeat.
Okay, good. This is lovely. Okay, anybody else? We had somebody else with a hand up at one point, no? Yeah, Isabel? And then Cheryl? Isabel first, yeah. Wait, I don't see her. Wait, let's go back to Isabel.
Should I go first? Okay. I still heard my neighbor scream.
There she is. Okay. There she is. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually still heard my neighbor scream.
The man of the hour. This is called neighborly dharma. That's good. That's fine. It's neighbor practice. So it's still a reflection of your mind. Okay, Cheryl?
Awareness of awareness.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And a sense of feeling at home or being home.
Mm-hmm. This phrase, awareness of awareness, is the quality of recognition that we're speaking to. That when you see, what was that? Okay. It's a good expression, awareness of awareness. And we shouldn't get too attached by our descriptions, because the next time it might not be the same. You might experience it quite differently the next time. So we're experiencing in the moment and reporting what that moment's experience was. Because being awake is always right now. It's not yesterday or tomorrow. It's always right now. I asked my first teacher, I asked her once, once we wake up, once we attain enlightenment, is that it? Are we then a Buddha who maintains that state of enlightenment? Are we then always enlightened? And she paused for a moment. She said, for some maybe, she said, but actually for most, it has to happen every lifetime, because the direct experience of what is always in the present. It was very helpful to me. It takes all the pressure off. Or a good amount of it. We can always manufacture some more if we're of that mind. if that's what we get, if that's what does it for us, to manufacture some pressure, we can do that whenever needed or not. So, anybody else want to speak to their experience? I want to say something about my experience in that moment. What I was aware of is something that may be familiar to others of you as well, is that when I gazed within, there's instantaneous relaxation for me. Just instantaneously, the body just completely relaxes. And I recognized this time that there was resistance to that. I didn't want that to happen because I knew I was going to need to gong again. So there was a point of reference that I held to for a moment. Because what if I just disappear in a cloud of light here right in front of you? Well, it doesn't really happen that way most of the time, does it? So it's not really a realistic fear, but I knew I had to show up in my functional form. So I stopped that process of relaxation. And that was just this moment, but I think we do that all the time. And or very, very frequently, I think we do that because the true nature of mind is our actual true nature. We are always seeing it, and there are moments unbidden, not looked for, in which the recognition is there, and we feel interrupted in what we were doing or trying to accomplish. There's a moment when there's a relaxation, and then we pick up the memo pad again or whatever. That we back away or move to the left, or in other words, we sidestep the moment when we could instead, for even a second, rest in clear awareness. So I want you to become aware of that sidestepping, that moment when the recognition is there, relaxation indicates it, is its demonstrator, and then you turn yourself back to watching the news. In Art's case, he'll watch the news again, or I will, or whatever it is that occupies you or that can distract you. We usually use the word distraction to mean we want to amuse ourselves with something. Our life, our ordinary life, our run-of-the-mill life in the real reality, noble relative reality, physical world that we live in, our distraction is often in order not to rest in our true nature, in order not to recognize, in order not to relax into, and I don't mean relaxation like a physical thing, but mind relaxing and body relaxing is the expression of that. But mind relaxing in its own nature, it is natural. It's the most natural thing there is for our mind to relax in its true nature. Imagine the effort it is taking us 24/7 not to do so. No wonder we're so tired. And no wonder we're so frantic, trying not to do that which is the most natural, elegant thing possible for us. And I use the word elegant in the scientific sense of the word, meaning the most profound explanation with the least effort. That's an elegant argument or an elegant proof of theorem. The most profound or complete explanation with the least number of figures or words or actions. So the most elegant resolution of all of our tension, our sorrow, our anger, our lostness, the most elegant resolution is to rest even for an instant in clear awareness. Simple, direct, always at hand. It's never not there for you. The image that came to my mind when I said that was how satisfying it is for babies. The thumb is usually available. Huh? Mother is not always available, but I've got my thumb. Right? But so clear awareness isn't quite like thumb sucking, but it's even more available. It's your true nature, so how far could you be from it? It's your true nature, so how much energy does it take to keep yourself in the illusion of separation from it? It's your true nature, so how much delight is there in simply for an instant tasting it? It's your true nature, so what kind of relationship wouldn't benefit from your having access to that irrepressibly? It's your true nature, so why do you have to drop bombs? Simple, very simple. For me, even to speak of this, it feels as if there's nectar in my mouth. I feel as if I'm about to drool, and that I need a Kleenex to kind of wipe my mouth so I don't just drop nectar all over the table here. And it's nothing, I want to say, this is nothing special. And it's the most special gift you'll ever receive, is to give yourself this kind of simple, direct, unadorned, unpretentious, ever available training of, from time to time, just stop. For many years I called this, Claire will remember this, for many years I used to call this kind of practice between the refrigerator and the stove. Remember, Claire? Right? Between the refrigerator and the stove. So, because it's one thing to sit on the cushion all your life. Most of us aren't like that. Most of us don't want to do it, first of all. We might think we should, but most of us really don't want to spend the whole life sitting on the cushion. And even those of us who might want to probably don't have the karma for it. It is the 21st century, and there's a lot going on. So most of us don't have the karma or the conditions that allow us to sit forever on a cushion. And if we did and we didn't have this kind of training, it would take us a long time perhaps to get there. But we do have a refrigerator and a stove, most of us. Or we do have a car door and the inside of the car. We go from one to the other. We do have a child crying and a diaper available to change it. We do have a between. There's always a between available, yes? Because we go from one thing to another in our lives. You know, we take an in-breath and an out-breath. There's a between right there. In every between, there's the possibility of just for a moment so I would literally, in my place that I was living, take something out of the refrigerator and turn towards the stove. And there was a little counter space between them. And that was my meditation spot. Only I didn't call it meditation. I called it glancing within. So take something out of the refrigerator, turn towards the stove, notice the little counter space, stop and glance within. The whole body aligns when you're standing and you glance within and you recognize. The whole body aligns. It's like an invisible sort of spiritual chiropractic. You just, everything sorts itself out for a moment and then you carry on. It gets all tied up in knots again and you go back to the refrigerator. It's like, instead of going to the refrigerator to get a snack all the time, you're going to the refrigerator in order to have that moment. All right? Anyway, these are games to play. And it's fun, why not? You know, merriment is one of the indicators that you're on the right track. I call my path the Hahayana. Because I can tell when I'm getting uptight and super serious and full of myself. I can tell, because I can see my mind. And I can also recognize what the body's doing. And it's not because I'm a body-oriented person. I don't do anything really to take care of my body. I'm a badly raised human that way. My mother did her best. She was an athlete, and so was my father, but I just wanted to sit and read a book or just sit. So I'm not in very good shape for my, I'm going to be 82 in May, by the way. So I'm not in great shape for my body is carrying me along, but maybe sometimes I'm carrying my body along. I don't know who's in charge here, but I'm not in great shape, and I realize now I never will be. So now I'm relaxing about it, because at 82, what are the chances that I'm going to suddenly become a marathon runner? I can't do that anyway, but I used to run, but I can't do that anymore because I broke a hip. So life is filled with some little challenges. Each one, just gaze within. Just glance within. That's what I did when I fell and I broke my hip. I was in a parking lot behind a saloon. I was not, I hasten to add, a frequenter of the saloon. I'd never been in it. But I fell down in the parking lot. I was on my way to deliver my book to a bookstore. And suddenly there I was on the ground. There wasn't anybody around. And what was I going to do? I mean, I called for help, but there wasn't anybody around initially. And so what did I do? I glanced within. And I kind of burst out laughing. I was still in shock, so I didn't have any pain. So the laughing wasn't a contradiction to the pain. It just happened. I just laughed. I said, "Wow, this is what they say about elderly women. A third of elderly women, the age I was at that time, after breaking their hip, about a third of them die. So not from the broken hip, but from the deterioration afterwards." And I thought, well, I've been thinking about that statistic. Am I going to be one of those? And I said, hell no, I am not going to be one of those. And I yelled again for help, and people came. But the gazing within was really helpful, really helpful. And you can do that at any time, any place, any circumstance. You can do it on the toilet. Actually, I've been giving what I've been calling bathroom practice for many years. And bathroom practice is very good. I write about it in Brave, Generous, and Undefended. It's not always easy in our ordinary lives to find privacy, but in most places, even in a family, you can lock the bathroom door for a minute or two. And in your workplace, you can go into a cubicle and they might see your feet, but they're not going to see your mind, right? So bathroom practice is good. And then one day in teachings, Rinpoche does say that he and I are of one mind, and he demonstrated it. He started talking about bathroom practice. But he got more specific. I'm going to give you his instructions for bathroom practice because they're very congruent with what we're doing here this afternoon. He said, to see clear awareness is easiest when you're peeing because it's effortless. You just sit down and pee. Or stand up and pee, if you're men. But men can sit down and pee too, and women can stand up, but it's not advisable for reasons that women always know. So we have to then go to a lot of work to take care of the result. But then he said, but when you're pooping, there's effort involved. It's harder to do clear awareness practice then. So there's my glorious Lama, a bodhisattva of the three realms, a great being, a mahasattva. He is exquisite and perfect in every way, and he's the complete embodiment of everything I have ever aspired to be. And when I met him, I recognized that embodiment, and I followed him like the trail of a comet follows the comet. But there he was, speaking publicly in great detail about bathroom practice, which I'd been speaking about much more discreetly than for many years. So I thought, we are truly one mind. But the point being that your clear awareness is seeing all of this at all times and is always available to you to touch in for you to stabilize. So one of the most important elements in this kind of clear awareness practicing is the stabilization. And I want to give you another point of entry to clear awareness practice that many people find extremely helpful. And I use it myself. I draw myself within the central channel. And I might do it on the in-breath. You can see my posture changing as I speak, I think. So on the in-breath, I might draw myself fully within the central channel, and I am then experiencing a vertical alignment. We can just call it a vertical alignment. You can say of light, of energy, of however you want, but a vertical alignment. And then I am aware of what two other people in the group have spoken to this afternoon, of some resonance in the heart center or in the chest. And so I bring my awareness to the spiritual heart center, not the physical heart, and there the vertical alignment and the horizontal alignment meet. And like this, with the arms spread out, or only in your imagination or physically, you can spread them out, you have the vertical and the horizontal alignments meeting, and from the heart, it sets up a resonance in the heart that emanates, that radiates, and you're very stable. This is very stable. This is the horizontal and vertical axis that fix you in a position of stability on the earth and in space. Yes? So this is a very powerful way of beginning your clear awareness practice when you feel like it. I don't do it every time, but I often do it. And sometimes when I'm in the middle of the night and there's disturbance in my mind, Art, you might remember my speaking about this a couple weeks ago. There's disturbance in the mind and I can't stabilize by my mind only. I will bring myself within in that way, to that stabilizing way of visualizing the vortex that sets up in the heart when the vertical and horizontal channels meet. And then there's stability. Mind stops its antics. If only for a second. All you need is a second. Some of you are smiling as I'm speaking because I think you recognize what I'm describing. Yeah? There's recognition here. I'm speaking of what we all know at some level, although we may not know it consciously. So we're making it conscious, but that doesn't mean you have to do it in a kind of rigid way. It can be just as spontaneous and playful as our afternoon together is. Right? Somebody asked me once, why do all those lamas always look so happy? I said, because they're really happy. I'm looking at you, you look so happy. You look very happy. This is a non-practice, right? So easy. So easy. And it's also easy to lose it for a moment or a long time. You can lose it. You don't lose clear awareness, but you can lose your recognition. And I spoke of the karmic explosions. And this will be meaningful to you again, Molly, of course. So I spoke of the karmic explosions that I had experienced in these last, couple of years, actually, but recently very strongly. And in the middle of it, I was packing to move to a new place to live. And because it was pandemic, I was isolating because I'm ancient and I have lung disease, so I really needed to protect myself. So, because I'm a big burden to others if I get sick because I don't have any family. So, I have huge family. You're all my family, but you're not here going to pick me up in the parking lot when I fall over and break my hip, right? So I have to take care of myself so I won't be a huge burden to others. So, and also because I'm not done yet. I'd rather not leave until I'm done, and I know I'm not done. So, what was I talking about? Give me a hint. Some people are making heart symbols. I'm not getting it.
Yeah, we can lose it.
You need to take care.
Oh yeah, got it. Thank you. I don't know, whoever just bellowed, I got it from the bellow. I didn't hear any words. But so, the packing had to be done all by me, privately, just by myself. And I've got some, physical challenges, so it was really very difficult. And I was really overwhelmed. And I started to really suffer because there was stuff going on that was also somewhat traumatic. I'm not going to discuss that, but there was some trauma being experienced also. And I realized at one point, oh, Barbara, you're just suffering. You're not practicing on it. You're just suffering. And I said to myself, yep. And that's what I plan to do. I'm just going to get through this. I'm not going to stop between the refrigerator or the stove. I'm just going to suffer, get through it, and get moved, and then I'll practice again, consciously. But even that was practice, because how otherwise would I have recognized what I was doing, right? How would I have recognized that I was not recognizing clear awareness unless I was recognizing not recognizing clear awareness? Do you see what I mean? You get it, right? So it's always with us. It's always with us. Clear awareness is always with us because it is us. We are that. You know that toys are us? We are that. And that symbol, when the R goes backwards like that, in Russian, that means ya, that means I. Right? So we, that, I am. So whatever, play with words, play with letters, whatever. So this is simplicity and play and recognition practiced over and over again. The frequency is to give yourself the opportunity to recognize and then move on. Garchen Rinpoche speaks often of the importance of actual meditation, the extended stay, not the tourist visit, but the extended stay in the state of clear awareness. And he says that's the most important thing. And then he'll say, but the most important thing is to practice in ordinary life. So we have two most important things, which means do both. That clear? It's not like you have to choose between. You do both when you can. But the practicing in ordinary life is mostly what I do. I also practice sitting, but I don't call it meditation because I'm not very good at sustaining. But I am very good at recognizing over and over again. And since we're mostly living in more ordinary life, for me, that's a more important form of practice at the moment. Maybe when I get a little older and can't do much anymore, I can more practice the stabilizing the sustained state. But first I have to be able to recognize it. So I'm on the hoof. I do clear awareness on the hoof, and there's no pretense involved in that. I don't have to think, oh, am I getting it? Of course I'm getting it. I'm glancing within, there it is, and then I'm moving on to the next thing, and then do it again. It's actually a non-doing that we're doing, yes? Okay, that's enough of me talking, don't you think? Have I said enough? Yes, Yvon is nodding his head. Yes, Barbara, you've said enough. Now he's clapping for himself. I'll remember that, Yvon. So I'm going to do with you, we've got about 20, 25 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. We're going to do some in and out, okay? In and out, I'll just gong once, gaze within. It's really a glance. I'm not going to give you much time to gaze, but a glance is all you get, pretty much, okay? So 1 gong, glance within, 2 gongs, back out again, okay? You willing to do it that way for a bit? That wasn't to go in, that was being out. Yvonne. I did 2, not 1. So clear awareness is also paying attention. Okay? Also, traditionally the training for this is with the eyes open. Now, here's where I meet your rebellious spirit. A lot of people don't like to do it with your eyes open because you think meditation is supposed to have your eyes closed. But it's easier, actually, for many to see with their eyes open. So I recommend doing it both ways until you see what the differences are for you. Okay? Does that sound good to you? When you hear the double gong, maybe just loosen up your shoulders or look around the room a little bit. Relax yourself from the thought that you're doing something. Just do nothing. Now I want to ask you to identify a thought or a mind state that is disturbing to you, perhaps a neighbor who's been yelling, or something of that kind, or a thought that's recurring, that's giving you trouble, that's easily accessible to you. And I'm going to take a minute, give you a minute to identify that. You're not going to have to go too far to see it. It may be just something in your mind. And now Juan, you want to say something? Okay, you have to unmute yourself, or Billy will unmute you. Juan Espino. He's got his hand up, he wants to say something. He's still muted. Okay, Juan.
Barbara, when you're striking the gong twice, it only sounds 1 time because of the resonance of the first strike.
Oh, thank you.
And so maybe when you do the second, the 2 strikes.
Make more space between the 2.
Or hold the gong so it won't vibrate and resonate.
I can't hear that. I can't understand them.
Oh.
I don't understand the suggestion. It's hard to understand the words.
Yeah. When you do the 2 strikes, you hold the gong so it won't vibrate, and the 2 sounds can be heard.
Is that what you mean?
Like holding the gong and doing. Yeah, that's
I don't know if I'm coordinated enough to do that, but I'll tell you what, I'll change the position of the gong and see what happens. But we're going to do something a little different right now. But I'll try that. We'll see. We'll see if I succeed, but I'm not always that coordinated. Right? So what I want to invite you to do now is to recognize a way to work with disturbing thoughts, because we all have them. And they are what give us, we call them afflictions, mental afflictions, the emotional afflictions. And so this doesn't involve the gong so much, but I want you to conjure into your mind, bring into your mind a thought pattern for yourself, or an emotion that you have, or a perception or a memory, something that has some disturbance for you, okay? I need you to pay close attention here, okay? So I'm just going to give you a second to find that very quickly. It shouldn't be a mystery to you what it is that's disturbing your mind. Okay, indicate when you're ready. Okay, now, swiftly and easily, very naturally, glance within and blend clear awareness with the disturbing thought. Literally blend them, merge them. You might pour the clear awareness down on it, you might infiltrate the thought with clear awareness, or you might just simply see them together and see what happens. So, does anybody want to say what they, very, very brief, because we're short on time, very brief, what happened? Ask to unmute. Somebody's saying, I'm getting something on the, Isabel, are you muted? Are you wanting to speak? There's this ask to unmute is appearing on people's.
Yeah, that's me hovering. So
you're hovering? Yeah. Okay. Who would like to comment about what happened when I invited you? Yes, Athena, you're muted. There you go.
Healing. Healing. Healing.
Clear.
Healing.
Healing, yes.
Healing.
Yeah. When the relative rests in the absolute, even for a moment, that's healing. Because it's wholeness, yes? For those of you who have mental, emotional, or physical afflictions, I want to give you a mantra. That includes all of us, doesn't it, pretty much? Mental, emotional, or physical afflictions. I want to give you a mantra. It goes like this. I am healthy. I am whole. I am holy. I am healthy. I am whole. I am holy. Okay. Okay, so any other comments about what happened? Shall we do it? Let's just do it again, shall we? Go to inflicting a thought or inflicting emotion and blend clear awareness with that, or blend that with clear awareness. In other words, let them mingle, let them intermingle, let them meet each other. Okay. Comments? I see two hands up. Kathy, first.
Hi, this is Kathy. There's a lot of comments in the chat and a lot of questions. And I hope that you can address some of them because I have no understanding what you were talking about with the access. the intersection of the horizontal and the vertical. With regards to
Kathy, slow down just a second. I thought you said two different things. One was there are a lot of people who want to ask questions, and the other one you wanted more explanation of the horizontal and vertical. Were those two different things?
Those are two different things. And then also just to respond to the initial question, this question, like the first time I did it, it was easy to hold the disturbing and the space. Mm-hmm. They just were kind of a floating. Mm-hmm. But as I got more frustrated with not having the questions answered in the chat, then it got tighter and more uncomfortable in my body. Oh yeah, I'm sure it did. That would be for sure, because frustration is an anger reaction, actually. One of the ways that people get angry is because they feel very frustrated. But this isn't so much a question and answer time. It's really focused on doing the practice. And we have a little bit more time to do the practice, and then there will be a little bit more time for some questions about it. But I want us to get the experience more than I want to have us do questions at the moment. But the questions are important too, so we'll try to do both. Thank you very much, Kathy. Misha?
Yes, I noticed that the energy quality of the affliction kind of lightened up and dissipated. It shifted with the blending, mm-hmm. and was maybe lighter or something. Mm-hmm. And then I found a thought questioning, oh, am I making that happen? Did I do that? Did I cause that because I wanted it to happen? I expected it to happen?
Well, then you practice over and over, and you see if you, am I making this up every time? You practice over and over, and you see. When relative and absolute meet, absolute wins. There's nothing more real than reality. There's nothing truer than truth, you know? So that's just that's kind of a mnemonic to, a little thing to remember. And it's a little thing to remember in times of great tragedy or stress or anything, lean back on what you know to be true, even when you don't feel it, even when it's hard to believe or hard to see. Remember what is true. This is one of the ways in which we generate faith. And the only way to have faith is to generate it. We have spontaneous faith arising sometimes, but we can't rely on it arising all the time. Sometimes it's just an overflow, and we just feel suffused with faith. But we have to, I think I've said somewhere else before, I can't remember where, that, generating faith should be like feeding our children, not just when it spontaneously arises, but pretty much every day, 3 times a day at least, And the same is true for stoking our faith. The blessings are always pouring down on us. We're always surrounded and supported by the blessings, meaning by grace, the grace that is the emanation of truth and limitless love. But we have to also take responsibility for being open to receiving that grace, to recognizing and receiving it. This is why we practice. Okay. This blending that we're speaking of, when we chose a fairly, what seems like a fairly difficult or challenging starting point in the blending of the clear awareness with experiential reality, because we chose to do it with a disturbing thought form or disturbing emotion, yes? Normally we would say, oh, well, let's start with something different that's not so challenging, but actually that is easier because it's striking for us. It catches our attention, something that disturbs us. But the blending practice that we've just tasted a bit of is also good to do with external reality, with things that we see and as physical objects or events unfolding in front of us. or things that we see on the news, for example. And that would be a good practice, Art. Interestingly enough, it seems easier to see the ephemeral nature of our thoughts than the ephemeral nature of something that we know wasn't there a minute ago, but that is there now in the physical world. The physical has a very strong grip on our visual senses. Very strong grip. What we look at and see, as we have our eyes open and look outward, what we see as a physical form, like I'm looking at this monitor that has all your faces on it. Of course, that's beautiful. But the monitor is also very solid. I know you're not, but and the monitor feels very solid. And if I want to blend that with clear awareness, bring clear awareness and to blend with the monitor, what is that like? So that's another practice. So let's choose a physical object that's right in front of you that you can actually see and blend clear awareness with that physical object. Okay? Yeah? Okay, quickly recognize what happened and raise your hand if you want to speak about it. Okay, I'll raise my hand. What I experienced was the same body relaxation as mind recognized that merging or the blending. The physical object, guess what? It didn't dissolve. Right? The physical object is still there. What dissolved was my grasping to it. My grasping to its being there, my grasping to the object, my grasping to its physical nature, my grasping, the grasping of my looking. When that dissolves, when the grasping dissolves, you're free. Alex likes this. The simplicity of it is joyous, isn't it? It's so simple and so direct. You can believe your direct experience. Like when you have that relaxation response to the gazing at the physical object and the body relaxation, when you're blending the clear awareness with the physical object and you experience the same body response of relaxation, you can believe in that. You don't have to believe in it. You can just recognize it and credit it. It happened. And in that moment, you were free, no grasping. Now, true confessions here. The practice, you can do it over and over again, but if you don't pay attention to the result and take it to be part of the path, you're just wandering around in circles. So example, say I want a potato chip. Say there's a bag of potatoes. This is one of my great weaknesses in life. I have a real attachment to a particular brand even of potato chips. Lay's Classic, right? That's my go-to. I see others feel the same way about Lay's Classic potato chips. Okay, if you come to see me, do not bring me Lay's Classic potato chips. But when I come to see me, if I remember that you were in this session, I will be looking to see, do you have behind your back in one hand a bag of Lay's Classic potato chips, right? So if I then put some of the Lay's Classic potato chips in a bowl, an attractive bowl, to give myself a little more incentive to respect them and myself, and then I practice clear awareness with my grasping, and each time it's successful and the blending is, it's like I'm really experienced that moment of freedom, it is still my choice whether then I go ahead with the grasping habituated attachment behavior or whether I take the door open into freedom. This you must remember. Do I need to say it again? Yes. When you recognize clear awareness and experience directly that instant, I mean, it's really a millisecond sometimes of freedom. It is your choice and your responsibility either to rest there in the state of freedom and let that build and become your recognized truthful reality, or to step out of it and take the potato chip. In other words, to return again to the habituated behavior of attachment or aversion or whatever it may be. It's your choice and your responsibility each time. So first I gave you the good news, then I give you the bad news, and then I'm going to give you the good news again. The thing is that the opportunity will always be there as long as you're alive and you have the ability to recognize consciousness. With dementia, it is questionable. I had dementia in my family, and a number of my students have had to care for patients or parents or family who have some form of dementia early or late. And so I asked Rinpoche at one point about this, and he said, it's questionable the degree to which one can continue to recognize the true nature when there is dementia. It depends on the development of it and so on. And then in that case, this is just for you to know in case this is in your experience. He said in that case, what's really beneficial is to have the person develop, before the dementia progresses, develop a relationship with the clear awareness of form of the deity. The clear awareness form of the deity. For example, I'm looking here directly at a pictorial rendition of White Tara on a tanka, and to have, if you have a friend or relative who's beginning to develop some dementia, maybe bring a sacred form. It doesn't have to be Buddhist. It could be something else if the person's a Christian or Jewish or something. Well, some religions don't want you to recognize holy symbols in graphic form, so I don't know which ones are that you have that practice. But the recognition of a form that one has formed a habitual relationship with, of positive recognition of one's own holy nature, even if it's not full-on recognition of clear awareness, very beneficial for someone who has dementia. Okay, so there's a real relationship that one can develop with Nirmanakaya forms of the Buddha, and this is true in all the religions. Pictures of Jesus or beautiful Islamic renditions of graphic renditions of words, and not photographs or images, but words. So the forms of the holy are extremely important for us to have a relationship with. Very, very helpful. So we are at the end of our time. So, and if anybody had questions and you want to send them to me, by all means do. But I have to be very honest with you. It's very hard for me to respond in writing. I would rather talk with you. So if you want to talk with me, you get in touch with me by email. An email to the Garchin Institute will reach me. They'll forward it, and then I'll get in touch with you by email. If there's a question that is, complex, like Molly, for example, a wonderful, wonderful letter which I wanted so much to respond to, but it really was a conversation, and it doesn't have to be a long one. It could be 5 minutes. But anyway, so you could find me just by sending an email to me at the Garchin Institute. Okay. So we're going to do our closing prayers now, because we're at the end of our day together. How wonderful it's been to be here with you. I can't thank you enough for coming. I'm so grateful that you were here. Your presence has been a jewel, just beautiful and funny and warm, and heartfelt and so open and receptive and so responsible, really, really responsible. Thank you. Remember your commitments as a bodhisattva. You all have a copy of the Bodhisattva handbook, the 37 practices. If not, you need a copy of the 37 practices. Can they still get them, Christina, from Contact in the Garchin Institute? Copy of the 37 Bodhisattva practices? Oh, it's on the website. You can download it. Okay. And also it's in the front of my book, the whole thing, and almost any commentary on the 37 Bodhisattva practices I cleared. It's Janeth. It's Janeth there too. So any commentary on the 37 practices will have the full text of the 37 practices, and there's many wonderful commentaries. So we're going to do our closing prayers in the blue book, if you have the blue book, and I will just recite them. We're going to do very short form because we're kind of late. Wait a minute. Yellow book. I love the closing prayers. I always think I'm only going to do one or two, and then I really want to do 22 pages of closing prayers. They're so gorgeous. So we're going to do very short form, okay? And I might burst into Tibetan at some point, like right now. Sunam di tamcha zipani tonene pedanam pamchete chikana chi balon tripai sipetsola drowarashu. By this merit may I attain omniscience, having defeated the enemies, my wrongdoings. May I liberate all beings who are tossed in the ocean of samsara by the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. By the virtue accumulated throughout the 3 times by others and myself, may all beings filling the reaches of space enter the gateway of the unexcelled path, and may they attain the Vajra holder's ground. Let me just say a word about dedication. We dedicate the merit of our beneficial activities, of our holy actions of practice and generosity and patience and all the good things that we do for the benefit of others. The merit is love. When we engage in action that is for the benefit of others, it not only is expressing love, bodhicitta, but it is increasing our store of love. And when we dedicate that, we don't lose that merit. It goes into, Rinpoche uses this wonderful analogy. He says it's like a bank account. If we all put money in our individual accounts, nobody's going to earn much interest. But if we all put our money in the same account, it earns a lot of interest. And it comes to all of us. The benefit of that comes to all of us. So dedication is really important. Balensa ela marin poche dagin card meden jutne gadrin chen pogone jezunte gusunto ki hajut salduson. Glorious root guru, precious one who sits upon a lotus at my heart, hold me with kindness and grant me all accomplishments of enlightened body, speech, and mind. I pray for the excellent health of the Guru. I pray that he lives a supremely long life. I pray that his activities spread far and wide. Grant blessings that I may not be separate from my Guru. By the blessing of the Buddhas who attained the 3 kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging nature of reality, and by the blessing of the undivided Sangha community, may my prayers be fulfilled according to this dedication. By the virtues accumulated in the 3 times by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the intrinsic root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious awakening. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage gurus, divine assembly of yidams, assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, yogini and her assembly of dakinis, All of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer a terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong views. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind itself and in the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. And then we do prayers for the long life of our precious teachers. His Holiness Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. His Holiness Drikung Kyabgyun Shetsang Rinpoche, embodiment of the 3 jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakyalayan, supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. His Holiness Drikung Kyabgyun Chungsang Rinpoche, holder of the teachings of Lord Drikungpa, great Lord of the 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. And His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, the one known in the Holy Land, in the noble land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chuningpa, the heart son of Jigten Gumpo. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratna Shri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who's seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Homage to Chenrezig, your 1,000 arms of the 1,000 wheel-turning kings, your 1,000 eyes of the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig. Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. The short prayer to be reborn in the blissful land of Amitabha. Emaho. In the center is the wondrous Buddha of boundless light. To his left is Chenrezig, the Lord of great compassion, and to his left is Vajrapani, the Bodhisattva of great might. They are surrounded by an inconceivable assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Immeasurable peace and happiness is the pure land of great bliss. When I and all beings pass from this life, may we be born in that land, unhindered by another samsaric birth, and may we then behold the face of Amitabha, boundless light. May all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions bless this aspiration, that it may be accomplished without hindrance. Tejata pansadriya awabodana soha. And then in the blue book we go to page 40, I think, 38. This is called the Prayer for World Peace and Welfare. We refer to it as the World Peace Prayer. And for those of you who have a copy of it, is there is it up on the screen? Okay.
It's on our website.
Yeah. I make a change in it. It was written originally in, I forget, Christina, do you know roughly when it was written by Jumkan Control? In 18 something or? Okay, it's a very, very old prayer, been recited for a very long time. It's very powerful. It could be describing what's happening in the world today, but it was written really a very long time ago. But there's in the 3rd verse, it speaks of how men and cattle are seized by epidemic disease. Let's change that word to humans and cattle. Okay? So here's this prayer, and those of you who have it, please read it with me, and others just really take in what's being said. This is a prayer that Rinpoche is inviting and encouraging us to say frequently The three jewels and three roots, trustworthy source of refuge, and in particular the Lord of Snow, Avalokiteshvara, Jetsuntara, and Guru Padmasambhava, I supplicate you, please follow your previous pledges. Bestow blessings that this aspiration prayer may be fulfilled most perfectly. Due to the degeneration of times when thoughts and deeds of beings are perverted, and the inner and outer elements have lost their balance, humans and cattle are seized by epidemic disease previously unheard of. Intruding Rahus, Nagas, powerful demons and dark forces, blight, frost and hail, bad harvest, warfare, and so forth, erratic rainfall, heat, misery and droughts in the world, destruction by the elements such as earthquakes and the threat of fire, and in particular barbaric offenses causing harm to the teachings are rampant. May all types of harm and injury around the world be swiftly pacified and overcome. May precious and supreme bodhicitta spontaneously arise in the mind streams of all beings, human and non-human, and may they be free from destructive thoughts and deeds. May all be endowed with a loving mind for one another, and may well-being, glory, and prosperity prevail throughout the world. May the Buddha's teachings spread far and wide and ever last. By the truthful power of the three roots, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by any root of virtue existing in samsara and nirvana, and by the power of our perfectly pure highest intention, may the fruition of our supplication and aspiration be attained. And then I'd like to share with you an aspiration prayer written by Dharma Rakshita, who was the author of a text that I recommend highly to everybody who's interested in understanding karma, called The Wheel of Sharp Weapons. This is called the Aspiration Prayer of the Precious Sangha, and I give this to my Sanghas, and it is very meaningful to us all. Till the time when all motherly beings and I gain the perfect conditions for us to be Buddhas, though the force of our actions may cause us to wander through various realms in the 6 rebirth states, may we always be able to help one another to keep our aim fixed on enlightenment's shore. And I am filled with thankfulness and appreciation and delight and recognition of your jewel-like attention and your sense of humor. I have to say, a Sangha with a funny bone is a fine thing. And I've enjoyed your company so much. Please practice in the way that we've practiced today. I promise you that it will really bear fruit for you quickly, because we'll do it quickly. It only takes a second, over and over and over again, yes? So practice, 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 and let me know how you're doing, okay? Just send me a note anytime you feel like it, and the Garchin Institute has nothing to do but forward my mail. The director is sitting here in front of me, and she's going to make an offering, and I have a feeling she's going to withhold it now that I've said that. She's changed her mind. No offering from me today. I've just given her more work. So anyway, she's filled with love for you as well. So thank you so much for coming. We'll do this again at some point in some way. Maybe soon, sometime, we'll sit in the same room together physically. Yes? Somebody said something? I heard something. Billy, you said something? Christina, this is Christina Lundberg. She's the director of the Garchin Institute. I don't think you can see her, but and she can't see you either, but she's here in all her glory.
And I want to, on behalf of everyone who has tuned in to this wonderful Dharma gift day that you've given us, with our hearts full, our grateful hearts full of immense gratitude and love for you and all how you generously and effortlessly share all of your compassion and your wisdom and your experience to help us.
And laughter.
And laughter.
I did announce the name of my tradition, the
yes.
Hahayana, the glorious Hahayana.
Yes, we are so, thank you for your laughter and your joyful spirit. And so this offering is on behalf of
it's a reflection,
all of us.
It's a reflection. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope you will all have the opportunity at some point to meet Christina face to face. She is a heart disciple of our Lama. Thank you, dear. Thank you. So there we are for the moment. See you soon. I love you dearly. I don't want to say goodbye, so I won't. I'll just gong. And at that point,